So, everybody, without any trace of hangover, I hope, from yesterday's evening. Is okay? Let me do a sound check. Let's see, the people which are on the last row, can you hear me over there?
Yes.
If I need to go louder, let me know. If I start to mumble, also please let me know, because that might happen, okay? Well, without further ado, so the question that probably is running into your mind right now is, Mommy, what's a Magellan Project? That's a very valid question. So, I work, so this is not company for that, by the way, don't press the slide, it's just a template. So I work as an Agile coach for the last 3.5 years for Nokia, specifically for a part of Nokia which is here.com, is our desktop product, which you can see over here in action, and this is actually our headquarters in Berlin. So here is a part of Nokia. We have 6,000 employees all over the world, but we have 800, so the headquarters is in Berlin. And the team that, so this is, you can see here right now, this address, what is the current state of the work which has been done for what we call, for the desktop offer. So I work for the part of the company which is related with the end consumer. So we produce this. We also have clients on the business to consumer, which is like driving, so directions in driving and so on. But so I'm the coach for the team that does the consumer products, and this is the desktop offer. The coach, no, I'm one. We are four in total. Okay. So we are going to talk about the group experiment, because I call it a project, but after Alan Stahl, I said, well, maybe I should call it experiment. That was run with a group of 40 people. These 40 people are not just 40 devs. These are 40 people, including the product management, including the designers, the UX people, so QA, all sorts of positions. And so these 40 people, they've worked together for a period of time which was around 18 months, 2 years, almost 2 years. They worked together to get what we call the version 1.0 of the product which I've just shown you guys. So we had 3 Scrum teams and then a Kanban team, a team running Kanban, which was working on the infrastructure support, and the other teams were working on product. When we got to a point that one of the teams was moved, on these Scrum teams which were working on product, was moved to another part of the organization. So if you try to do the math and something doesn't add up, it's not me lying, this is what happened. Okay? So 40 people, and they were have been working for between 18 and 21 months on the product which I've just shown you before, which is here.com. And so these teams, they had a quite mature Agile/Lean implementation. So the product teams were doing Scrum, the infrastructure team was doing Kanban. It took a lot of effort to get them to the point that where they were, of course. To get them really mature, the coaches banged our heads against the wall a couple of times, not in front of them, obviously. But, step by step, baby steps, and we got there. Also, one thing which is important, and this wouldn't be possible, so this wouldn't be possible without this, of course. So, all these teams had really mature engineering practice. We're talking about, for instance, the build would be read if you didn't have 80% coverage on unit tests. We had continuous deployment in place. And yes, it was a long, hard road to get there, but we got there. So acceptance tests also were mandatory. So this is what you see here is actually the picture of our build monitor point in time. Okay. What happened is that actually we were trying to get, we weren't happy what we had, but the big KPIs in terms of business, so the active users over the last 30 days, and also the NPS that we were receiving, they were good, but we thought we can get better than this. And that's why it was born the so-called Project Magellan, which is Portuguese, by the way, like me, just to clear it out. Are there any Spanish people in the room? Ah, no offense, okay? Okay, that's fair. Simple. So what is this thing called Project Magellan? So basically, what we've done was, so I've shown you first the prerequisites. So we haven't done this. Now that we look backwards, kind of sort of crazy thing out of the blue. So these guys have been working together for a very long, relatively a very long time, and they were quite mature in their practice, their engineering practices, which then on top you have the Agile lean practices, right? Without the engineering practices, it just will not fly, obviously. And we thought, maybe we have to change something to get from the we're doing fine to get into good, and good means increasing specialties to key metrics, which are the bottom line for management. Active users in the last 30 days and our NPS. And how have we done this? So the four of us, so we have a team of Agile coaches, the four of us got together with management, and we started bouncing around some really crazy ideas. And then, after being really out there, we tried to tone it down. We came out with something which is called Project Magellan. And what I'm going to do right now is going to briefly give you an overview about the principles that define the Project Magellan. You might look at this and by like the second or third principle, you guys might go, wait, he's talking always about the same thing, right? This is the same as the previous one. It's not, okay? It's like you have to have, I don't know, a bottle, right? And can you look at the bottle like this? You can look at the bottle like this. You can look at the bottle like this. You're always looking at the same bottle, but these principles, they try to show different angles, different perspectives of the same thing. And there will be a couple of times that you guys might go, what exactly means by this? I'll try to point them out and to tell you, okay, more on this afterwards. If you don't grasp the whole thing at first, that's normal. Not because it's particularly complicated, but when you see examples in practice, it will be easier. So, that being said, principles, right? So, first one, team ownership. So, the team, so when I talk here about the team, it's like all this Scrum team, so the whole team of consumer experience. For web, in this case, they know the product better than anybody else, right? Even better than our users, because they have built this product. And the crazy idea from management, and that we decided to, explore this together with them, so it was our baby from Agile coaches and from management, was, hey, if they know the product so well, and if they know they are thinking heads, okay, they are not just, they are as capable of producing excellent code, they are capable of also doing some other things, for sure. And why don't we give them the opportunity to say, hey, these are the business metrics that we want to achieve. You guys know the product better than anybody else. We put it in your hands. Actually, that's what we've done. So that's what team ownership means. Projects. Yes. You will hear me using the word project and the word mission. By the way, mission has no religious connotation whatsoever. I will mix them, and I apologize for that. sometimes I'm saying project, actually I mean a mission. And what the hell is a mission, right? So we got teams that got assembled, they themselves assembled for a single mission, which would have, so the mission would have a goal, would have success metrics, and a way to validate those success metrics. And they knew that they would be together for a period, time box in time. So it's like, which is 12 months or around 12 months. Just not 12 months, sorry, 12 weeks, which is around 4 months, take it or leave it. And our initial idea, and of course we are now at the end of round 2 of doing this. This is the results from round 1. Round 2 of this will end up in 1 month. But our initial idea was, okay, we assemble them, they assemble themselves around the mission, and then after that, they can pick something else. This has, of course, benefits. So it has pros and cons, but more on that later on. Self-organized teams. So how we've heard this self-organized teams a lot of times. Every time we're talking about Scrum, self-organized teams, self-organized teams, self-organized teams with butter, self-organized teams with spaghetti, self-organized teams, right? But what we're talking about here, it's self-organized teams, really self-organizing up to a degree that normally wouldn't see in a traditional Scrum, Kanban, lean principles implementation. So, yeah, there is self-organization within some boundaries. Of course, we still have boundaries on this approach, but the boundaries are like way bigger. Of course, I don't remember who was the gentleman said that, but with great power comes great responsibility. So, how we've done this, I will show you in a little while. Basically, we had these missions. So management appointed a team lead, and from then on, everything was self-organized. More on that afterwards. So, I like this one a lot. Work how you want, but know where you are. So basically, you can use Scrum, you could use Kanban, you could use a homegrown mixture of two, or so-called Scrum Bunny, which can have 10,000 different phases. You can use whatever you want. You can even use cowboy coding as long as you, at a certain point in time, you can say, these are our metrics. This is where we started. This is where we added. This is where we're at. And we predict that we're going to eat the success yet we're going to make it our goal, or we need to change the way that we're approaching things in order to do the metrics. So each mission had its own set of metrics because it has its own set of goals, right? And also, every mission team would need to be able at any point in time to say, okay, this is our initial scope, this is our current scope, this is how much we've completed, and this is when we forecast where we will be. So say, okay, we are X% done. And they would need to be able to show this to cost management, but everybody, I mean. So that's what this thing means. This thing means here, know where you are. Always need to know where you are. Otherwise, have been correct course, right? So yeah, freedom, self-organization. But of course, you need some boundaries. Otherwise, it's the captain has left and the sailors took over the ship, right? Review, don't specify. Now, we have product owners here. So no product owners were harmed on this one. Actually, the teams reviewed their work with product manager, which had also the product owners there. So the people were acting as product owners there, but they reviewed their work every week. Okay? They said, okay, this is what we've done, this is what we plan to do afterwards, this is where we are, according to these metrics that I've shown you before. And then, so design organization, the top managers, for the lack of a better word, would look at this presentation every Thursday. And we're still doing it, so we did it yesterday, for each mission team, and they will suggest, and this is very important, suggest, you know, you guys should try to target this, or maybe you should descope this and put more effort on finishing this feature here, because this might help you to, you know, if this is done, actually it will interconnect with another mission is doing and so on. Suggestions is the key word here. So if the team said, fine, good, I hear you, but actually we think something completely different. It could be the director, and the director was there, the director of the department, and it had, so we could suggest, and it did, and we had really good suggestions. Some of them were taken by the team because they were actually good suggestions, and others, well, weren't. Sorry, English broken today. Because the team thought, you know, it's not really what we think is the right thing to do. So this goes to show you a little bit more of what self-organization really means. And don't specify, this part is also important. So the product managers, product owners were not allowed to do any type of specification, be that a Jira ticket, career pigeon, a post-it, whatsoever. No, nothing. They could only suggest. You know, for the next week, we suggest that you guys should take this course, this route through this. Of course, great freedom, great responsibility. Also, you've seen this one tons of times, right? Done means done, okay? So, but in this case, done means done means that you have this mission during these 4 months, and at the end, you should leave the code, part of the product that you were working, in a situation where it could theoretically, because it doesn't, because it's software which is constantly evolving, but the idea is that you leave it as if that could go into maintenance mode. It's not the case, but the idea is have fun, but at the end, please clean the playroom. So don't leave a gigantic tech debt and broken things before you, before you finish the 4 months for this mission. This is very important, right? It was the mindset. So quality had to be factored in. As we will see afterwards, of course, this is way easier said than done, but more on that afterwards. So, and also end-to-end. What end-to-end means? End-to-end means that teams are responsible for deciding how they want to achieve their mission goals, deciding what are the features they're going to implement, break those features into epics, break those epics into user stories, and then how to plan this on this 4 months period. What has more priority, this one or that one or this one? And then also take into consideration how I'm going to validate this. Is it going to be through A/B testing? Is it going to be through user testing? A combination of both. And so end-to-end means from the inception of the backlog itself, because these teams, they don't not deliver backlog. They will say, this is your mission, these are your tools. Go get them. And up to the point that the code is in production. And let's say you had A/B tests that actually were not successful. You have to do the cleanup before closing the mission. So before it was not like this because we had this team, the infrastructure team, which was making sure that when your code was finished, then they will take care of, going through the motions to put it to production and so on. But of course they had support from these guys, but they had to, move their derrieres to pick up these guys and say, okay, guys, we need your support for this, okay, is this production ready? Until actually it was live in production. So end to end, really, for sure. And now I'm not going to bombard you guys with like a lot of information about how we ended up doing this, implementing this, because I think it would be overload and a bit boring, but I'm going to give you like a tiny example how we started this, okay? Here it goes. So, we had what was defined for the first time we did this. So this took place between January and the end of April this year. It was defined, these are the missions, and each mission has its goals, and it has its goal or goals, and there are KPIs for this mission that actually measure the success of these goals. Excuse me. And management also said, okay, for this team, we will pick the team lead, unless the person when was contacted said, well, I cannot fill those shoes. That happened in one case, and of course you're not going to force anybody to take that position. Interesting is that we had, of course, tech leads, and they had like people reporting, so direct line reporting to them, and we opted to not have a single tech lead being the mission lead. So actually, they would be, even though they are their managers, they would be the leads of that mission. So this was an interesting experiment, and actually went much better than I expected. Then again, I'm a professional pessimist, so. So that was defined. And now what you see here is like, okay, so this is the name of the mission. And it was the team lead that said, okay, in order for us to reach our goals, I think that we will need 2 days. We will need half of the time of a QA. I know sharing people between projects is not the ideal, but welcome to the real world. We would need 50% of the time of an Agile coach. We would need support also from, and this is even worse, 25%, of a designer which focus on the visual elements, on UI, not UX. And that's what they find. They define, for my mission, I need these people. We've done a workshop and put it as things together with team leads in like an exposition. So the team lead was there to explain about the mission, the details, and then it was up to the team, to the people, so from the different disciplines, to go and say, oh, you know, I like this one, I'm going to join it. And that's why we see here now. So, okay. For Rusty, for instance, QA, it decided, okay, I'm going to allocate half of my time for this team because I like this mission. I think it's interesting. And so this is how things went. So one interesting point that I want to refer is that we Agile coaches, we thought this is going to be complicated and tricky, and people might go to, no, I want this one, no, I want that one, I want this one. No. Everything was really, really peaceful, so people assigned themselves to teams, to mission teams. On the same workshop, we also said, okay, guys, this is our workspace. Now you guys decide where you're going to sit. Of course, the team, it's better that they sit together for obvious reasons, so I don't need to go through that with you guys. But they themselves decided this. Also, we thought, well, this might be controversial. Some people might want to have the window seats and whatsoever. No, it was done like it was in a Buddhist monastery. Everybody was quiet and just suffocated themselves as we were like relative narrative. It was like this, really, for our surprise. So, and then we started, so the teams decided, okay, the team leads decided which specialities they would need in their teams. People allocated themselves to those teams. They allocated themselves to the seats, and then they decided their backlogs. As I told you, so teams, they look at the goals, and then they created the epics. They created the epics that they thought, this contains the features that we think will help us reach our goals. This was not black and white, right? So of course there were things they said, okay, the KPI doesn't measure this, but for the sake of the product, this also makes sense. So yeah, focus, but not focus, okay? Including, so they had to plan everything, A/B testing, design, prototyping, user testing. The rollout, if an A/B experiment is actually successful when B is 2%, then to ramp it up to 5%, for how long until we get statistically significant results? All that. And they created their own planning. And nobody used Microsoft Project here. So basically what I asked them is to, do as you want, but I highly suggest you that you use something which is tactile and it's visible, and you can update it without having to go through the motions of, let's see if this is the right workflow, just do it. Like pick a post-it, and this was not made for this picture. This is actually a real planning for one of the teams. And they had some buffer here, as you see, the 13 weeks. They were obviously optimistic, which if you are, especially if you are a developer, and nothing against developers. I was a developer also when I had hair, which was a long time ago. They tend to be optimistic. Yeah, sure, can do this. Of course, you have QAs going like, how do you test that? And so on. But anyway, so it's normal that we think that things are easier than they actually are. It's normal. We had also, so of course we had to have some boundaries here, and the boundaries were not like hard stops, but nice taps into the right direction for management. We had twice per week what we call the product stand-up, which is a very unfortunate name. We called it joint stand-up afterwards, and we had like this big wall. It's as big as it looks like here. So each lane that you have here, so routing team, traffic team. You can see here that one team, which was search, started to do A/B testing. More on this afterwards. And actually, so where they were and so on. And then the last one here is really production. This is a really big thing. So we had the team leads, or somebody which would represent the team leads, and all which were they were syncing amongst themselves, and we had as observants anybody which would like to attend. Of course, we had marketing coming in as a chicken, as you say in Scrum parlance. You guys can still hear me well over there? Okay, because I think I'm going over. We had our director. We had product management also. There to see, okay, what's happening. They knew what will be happening in detail on Thursday afternoon, but we had this every Tuesday morning and Thursday morning. So what's the idea here? To increase visibility so that the teams are so focused on their mission that they also look like, okay, oh, these guys are also doing this. And, hey guys, we have a dependence on you. We would really like to have this by date X, otherwise we cannot pick this feature and put it in production. We cannot roll it out to production. So, yeah, so this is what I meant. This is fake, but before you start looking like, no, this looks too nice, no, this is fake, the data are fake, okay? So, not the initial one, but the rest I was filling in. So the idea was to have something you can measure any way you want. So we had teams doing Kanban, so they decided to measure the approximate amount of Kanban cards. One of the teams was doing Scrum, and they were like estimated the rest of their backlog in like t-shirt size, and we deducted, okay, this is medium and this maps on X user story, so probably we're going to have 2 times this for this epic afterwards, but it's really like, I don't know if you know the gesture here in Germany, they say, the low one, it's not like this. So, no precision was expected. The idea is to have a general idea where you're going, and then actually, with the planetary velocity, that you reach your scope here, and then you still have like, 2 weeks buffer. Sorry, just 2 weeks buffer. Of course, so you probably wouldn't have scope creep. You can just by yourself, because it would be nice if you would add this and this and this and bells and whistles and gold-plated everything. And then suddenly reality hits and you go like, oh, well, we need to do scope things, because actually we won't make it, because if we spend too much time on this thing. So this was presented, not this one, because this, again, this data look nice because they're not real, but the real ones were presented every Thursday to management. And this, and also, so what was the current state of their KPIs, so their metrics, what was the value at that point in time. This presented some challenges, more on that afterwards. So, very quickly, previously, before we started this, we looked to a lot of A/B testing frameworks, and actually we were not really happy with any one of them. So we decided to make our own homebrew A/B testing thing before this happened. And actually it turned out to be pretty limited. So one of the mission teams took a period of 3 weeks, and they did a hell of a job on having, at the end of this 3 weeks, a really, really good A/B testing framework that totally would reply to our needs. And then, of course, so one thing that I mentioned also was the rollout, right? So the teams, they had also to think about the process of rollout, and they owe the process of the rollouts to production, obviously. Like checking which dependencies they have, to forecast that they might get delayed because of this, and also work together with the DevOps in case something was hitting the wall and not getting to production. So it's not like we sort of had unfortunately, that kind of mentality before we actually did this, which was like, okay, the code is done. Okay, guys, deploy it. So no more. This was also responsibility of the team. Of course, you need a specialist for it. You need the DevOps, but it's your responsibility to go and get them, to make sure that this happens. So don't wait that things magically happen. And there comes the $6 million question. I don't know how much that is in pounds, which is what about the bugs, right? Well, we created a role which we call the bug smasher. The cheesy, so it's my fault, this flip chart. I did it as cheesy as possible. So the idea is that we had, while the teams were developing, there, of course, you create new code and you are introducing new bugs by yourself, right? And those bugs, of course, they are the responsibility of each team. Also, use common sense. If it's a really low priority bug, and it's very difficult to reproduce and so on, okay, at least document it. That's why we had Jira there. And if you have time, well, let's try to leave the house clean, but of course, take into account prioritization. Okay, take into account, okay, these are the very high bugs, very high priority. The critical bugs, those need to come first. And I was talking so far about the bugs that each team introduced by the sole fact that they are developing new code. So, comes with it. We try to have quality built in as much as possible, but some bugs always free. And then you would have this thing which would be, we used among several things, uservoice.com, so as a way to get feedback from our users. And there were other bugs that were detected by our QAs that actually, if you would say, okay, we have different missions, they would not map really on mission A or mission B or mission C. So if we wouldn't do anything about it, they would fall through the cracks. Obviously, we don't want that, right? So that's why it came to life, the role of the bug smasher. And then actually we figured out, so in this case you see that each team would volunteer a developer for a week to take care of these bugs. So that would be the bug smasher. And then next week, so I left this empty blank on purpose, so I just put the board there and, okay, if you are self-organized to do all that, you don't need me to police you and say, you need to fill the bug smasher, we need somebody from your team. No, I haven't done that. There was a week that actually nobody was there, and so the bugs started piling up. I haven't done anything, I just waited for somebody to, see the light and actually put their name over there. It happened. Then there were some tasks also that were horizontal to the product. Actually, they couldn't, they would map on a mission. So we changed the name of the thing, the role, into task tackler. We have a gentleman in our ranks from England, and of course he decided to call it task tickler. So it was task tackler, task tickler, task tackler, task tickler, depending on your sense of humor. That's what we would call it. So Magellan is dead, long live Magellan. So we finished at April 17th with the first round of Magellan. And of course, there were points that it was time that we did something like this. We just created those rules and empty slate. Let's start. Of course, there were a lot of things that had room for improvement, to put it in a nice way. Even though it was a success in terms of the metrics, of the main business metrics, we actually we had an upward trend that if we use our business as usual approach, we wouldn't have it. So that's why we did round 2, and it's still running, and we're planning the round 3. So we started Magellan Phase 2 in May. It's going to finish in the end of September. And the third one, it's going to be also even more different from the first one than this one, because we have more complicated problems because the easy ones were already solved. But we are on our way to improvement. So, I don't have much time left, so I'll have to speed up this part a little bit. So we found out of, yes, it was a success, but one thing which I and another colleague of mine, another Agile coach, said this might happen, it might not be nice. It's culture clash. And we're talking about culture clash, we're not talking about somebody which is from India with somebody which is from Finland. Because we have people from all over the place. And that's not the type of culture I'm talking about. I'm talking about team culture. Take into consideration that these guys worked at minimum 18 months together previously on 3 different Scrum teams. One of these teams was moved to automobile division, and the other 2, they had 2 very different styles. One of them was which was called ARC. They had very meticulous, tried to explore more possibilities, heavily prototype, and this is the solution. And then industrial grade code from the start. And they went with built-in quality and so on. The other team, which was Voyager, they went oh, here's the solution. Okay, let's put the solution, let's roll. Oh, there are bugs, we'll fix the bugs later on. And in the end, the thing actually worked out, right? But the approach was completely different. And of course, we had more mission teams than we had previously Scrum teams. And when we mix these people, put these people working together, the expectation about the way that they are supposed to work is very different. Of course, there were clashes. So the storming phase was a bit stormy in some cases, especially when you have like people which are very good technically, but they have also kind of a big ego and say, no, I'm right, no, I'm right, no, I'm right, and well, that's why you need coaches there for. We had our dashboards with the KPIs for all teams coming really late in the process. We didn't forecast this. So actually, it was only by week 5 or something like that that we finally had the dashboards. And one common KPI to all teams was, you need to increase your KPIs without harming or getting the other team's KPIs down. Obviously, we are in missions, but we are all working in the same product. So the idea is to avoid local optimizations. Check previously your enablers or dependencies. Yes, we did. Should we have done it even more? Yes, we should, because one of the missions had like a feature that was blocked by one enabler, so which was another team outside of our department. And we had forecast some time for that, but actually we were a bit optimistic. So we did this on round 2 much more thoroughly. Also, to have automatic performance tests already set up in advance, because we release something to production, right? And we don't want to harm the performance. And what we had ways of measuring the performance, but actually it was very error prone, because it was just like, okay, now we have this in production. Oh, looks okay. Now we don't have many new errors. Okay, the time to load the first bit, it's more or less the same. Or oops, actually this is happening. This is error prone. So from round 2, we already had our DevOps creating several indexes, which are a mix of different things that measure the health and the response time of the application. So we have a thing called app index, which actually is a compound of several factors. And then what we do now, we observe if this app index goes up or down when something new is released to production. So yes, might be some things that are escaping us, but the human factor and looks good, it's not there anymore. So we have the machines doing that for us. Yeah. Target specific user profiles and personas. So the people which are here in this room that come from UX discipline, they know the power of using personas. So the question is, to whom are we developing for? We left this out, okay? And we could have done better if we have personas. We had this now in round 2, and it helped a lot to have more meaningful features being produced by the mission teams. We actually had to really remember teams to block time out, to work on the action items that were found on retrospectives. Focus, yeah, focus, and that's there's something here that you need to also do in order to improve. Otherwise, the retro is just cheap therapy. We figured out that the teams needed to have more devs. We had at most 2, and therefore we had too many missions running at the same time. If one was on holidays, the other one was sick. Yes, the QA might have some programming skills, but that almost brought the team to a grinding halt. So we changed this also. Even though with the task tackler, whatever you want to call it, we still had some increased tech debt that was only tackled by the teams at the final weeks. That's what you get in Create for Focus. So we actually now have found a solution for this, and we even outsourced the task tackler to an external company, because somebody else is just taking care of that. And also, the overarching design concept was broken, so you could not see that it was like horrible, but you had a lot of local optimizations because the designers were working on the teams. And therefore, the overall design, so the overall concept was not fitting anymore. We have one mission team, which is actually approaching that team, which is working on this. It's called the Careers team. And that's about it. Sorry for taking so long. We're really on time. Before asking any questions, just want to say, if you want to know more about this, please reach out to me. This is my Skype, my Twitter. And we are hiring also. So if this sounds like something interesting to you, just, have a word with me and I can help you with that. Questions?
Let's just give Ricardo a quick round of applause.